Hi, it's Lee and welcome to the Tesla Economist. Yes, it's a great feeling that Tesla has hit its high for the year and still feeling strong. But to think it could hit $500? Really? $400 almost feels like a stretch. Maybe even $300 if we're lucky this year. Well, I'm not suggesting this year to 500, but a possibility that it could indeed hit 500 next year. Of course, as always, subject to negative black swan events or a financial crisis of sorts, all of which is a possibility. And I could make videos on why Tesla could drop below 200 next year too, but those events are only temporary and eventually the economy recovers and value is restored in the stock market. So rather than focus on total unknown future events that may or may not occur, let's focus on things that we know that are on the way and how that could actually affect the stock price. I'm of the belief that Tesla's stock price naturally sits around $250 to $300 depending on what level of bipolar disorder the market is currently feeling. Yes, Tesla had a massive scare at the start of the year and it shocked the system, but it found the new norm and the main potential of the company still remains, i.e. the AI technology. And since the likes of ChatGPT, the market has decided that AI really is going from science fiction to science reality. And thus, by association, so is Tesla's FSD. We've seen now the market is valuing Tesla as an AI tech company and not a car company. The stock price is still recovering from this shock, but has been gathering momentum and seems to be on its way to 300. After 300, then there's no telling what it could break through to. Possibly it will gap up to 330, according to technical analysts. After 330, Tesla only needs to increase about 25% in order to hit its new all-time high. At the current price, Tesla is nearly up triple from its bottom of the year. And you know what? Tesla's done pretty much nothing all year, and it's still increased that much. All that's happened is production numbers have increased 9% compared to Q4. That's basically it. And a slight increase in energy, but relatively tiny in dollar terms, although fairly decent in percentage growth. Now, the main reason for this was that Tesla was oversold. The CEO dropped billions of dollars in shares on the market. Institutions left, margins got called, short sellers had a field day. There was a flash recession, interest rates were high, Tesla had to lower prices, Q4 was not epic, 4680s hadn't made any decent progress, Model Y didn't qualify for the tax credit. It was scary times. So the vast majority of this is the recovery from those extreme events that hit the stock all at once. The market has since decided to look more favourably. Tesla are still able to sell almost all the vehicles they make with these new price points and still make a decent profit, and don't appear to have to drop prices any further. But internally, what have we seen from the company this year? Texas opened its 4680 line, but nothing substantial or exciting to report there, and Tesla broke ground on the lithium refinery, and some FSD updates. The rest has just been announcements. The new Giga Nevada, Giga Texas, a covert Model 3 update, an unknown Gen 3 vehicle with revolutionary new manufacturing techniques, and a Cybertruck delivery event. What hasn't happened is a serious 4680 ramp, breaking ground on Texas or Nevada, a Gen 3 reveal, a Highland launch, or a Cybertruck delivery event. Yet the stock is nearly at $300 already and could possibly run to $300 this week. Do you get it? This price point for the stock is Tesla's natural price range. These events that have been announced haven't even happened yet, and we're still at almost 300. What's going to happen when we actually see progress with them too? The market is going to get a big reminder of the level of growth that Tesla is capable of at times. The only reason we've had to slow down in growth and not hit our 50% that we want to see is because the two new factories were designed around cells that turned out to be a lot harder to produce than was initially realized. It's the direction Tesla went in, and it may have been a bit early. But Tesla still have massive growth targets and are not relying on 4680 cells for this next phase. Instead, we have CATL's new cells that are almost as energy dense as 2170 cells, yet the same cost as LFP, and are a lot easier to produce than 2170s. CATL have built a massive 80 to 100 gigawatt hour factory right next door to Giga Shanghai. They're going to build an equally big one in Texas and or Mexico. That's enough cells for 3.5 to 4 million more vehicles, or at $150 profit per kilowatt hour, $27 billion more gross profit, probably taking the entire gross profit for the company to around $50 billion when all complete, or more if there have been further advances in other areas of the business. That's a lot of gross profit from any perspective. The Model 3 Highland is more important than people realize. It's not just a new car, it's a new battery. It means more efficiency, longer range, better value, better performance, and likely more demand and more profit. But it doesn't stop there. The old batteries will then be used in the Megapack factories. As Model 3 Highland ramps, energy will also ramp. Tesla is mainly thought of as a save the world from climate change company, and going into two areas to accomplish this: transport and energy. Tesla's barely touched energy. Once we see the Model 3 Highland ramp and these new cells, then that will equally mean that energy can ramp up with the old cells that were being used previously. This was the whole point of the Megapack factories, to take up the excess LFP cells. What would be the point of making new factories with old technology, LFP cells, when COTL can make factories for M3P cells that have more energy density for the same cost? That is the future, and makes all the difference for Tesla too. To get that 10% more energy density and offer that much more range in vehicles. Anyway, it will really result in the energy side of the business increasing, and we will start seeing huge percentage increases in production there. This will look very favourably for the company, as it is essentially the other half of the business which has only been contributing minimally and barely even been profitable. It may also result in a new LFP Powerwall, which might cost a lot less than the existing ones, making Powerwalls far more feasible and are justified for many more homeowners. The big update though is going to be the Model Y Juniper, the equivalent of the Highland for the Model Y. Again, it will use the new cells and free up more LFP cells. These will likely be for the new Megapack factory that is going to be in Shanghai. Again, this will cause a huge increase in the energy side of the business, and it will be noticed. It will be up to around 80 gigawatt hours a year, which is about the current supply of LFP cells Tesla currently have. 40 gigawatt hours for Shanghai and 40 gigawatt hours from Lathrop, probably producing around $10 billion gross profit a year, or slightly more even. Not to mention all the additional demand Tesla will get from the Model Y Juniper, as it will have a new battery that also offers more range. Then Mexico breaking ground and progressing hopefully at a good rate there. I think we'll see cars coming off the line next year, I would hope at around Q3 next year, but potentially not until Q4. Either way, it's going to be an insane factory and will be great catalyst for the stock too. Not to mention the Cybertruck. That car is a driving advertisement for Tesla's engineering capabilities. $500 isn't necessarily my price target for next year. This is me suggesting that if the market is valuing Tesla at around $300 now, then seeing all these other events come into fruition will take Tesla to new all-time highs. And that excludes any other new announcements that we have that might come next year or later this year, like another new factory. If Nvidia and Apple can hit all-time highs already, without anything close to the amount of events and future potential that Tesla has on the way, just for next year alone, and I didn't even mention FSD or robots. FSD looks likely to make some really good progress this year and next too. I just wouldn't be that surprised if we actually did hit $500. Don't get me wrong, it could be a lot through FOMO and dip back down to 300 or lower again. It's Tesla, remember. Sometimes the exuberance will push the stock price further than the fundamentals can keep up with. Tesla's main product is EVs, and they require a lot of capital-intense factories to get there, which does take time, and the excitement in the markets comes and goes. Stocks are very much like a popularity contest. Sometimes they're popular, sometimes they aren't, all depending on what the market thinks, or what internal breakthroughs may also occur with the company. Hi there, I'm using Verbalate AI video translation and lip sync software. It's pretty amazing. Watch this. I can translate my videos into other languages. For example, I am now speaking Hindi.
नमस्ते, मैं पहली बार हिंदी में बोल रहा हूं, लेकिन वर्बलेट इसे इतना आसान बना देता है.
Or how about Spanish?
Hola, vaya, increíble. También puedo hablar español.
Sign up at verbalate.ai today to gain early access to trial the product for creators and strategic partners, and gain the ability to translate and lip sync videos in all major languages. You can view the info in the description below.